It is known as the greatest movie that never won Best Picture. It failed at the box office, but it became a legend thanks to cable TV and word of mouth. Even after many rewatches, fans still find new things hidden in its story. The Shawshank Redemption. For millions, this film about hope, friendship, and second chances is one of the finest ever made. But what if I told you there are secrets in this movie that even die-hard fans have never seen? Today, we are going behind the scenes of Shawshank to uncover some of its most hidden truths. These are not just trivia. These are deep discoveries, shared by the very actors and filmmakers who brought the story to life. There are meanings, set secrets, and symbols that can completely change how you see Andy Dufresne's journey. These revelations are more than fun facts. They are the kind of insights that open your eyes to an entirely new way of watching a film you thought you understood. From Morgan Freeman's surprising stories about playing Red to Tim Robbins's secret acting methods for Andy Dufresne, we will show you how the movie could have ended very differently. This is the untold story of Shawshank, and I promise, by the time you finish this, you will never look at this movie the same way again. Let's begin with how close this film came to never being made. Before the cast ever stepped onto the prison set, director Frank Darabont approached author Stephen King to turn his story, Rita Hayworth and Shawshank Redemption, into a movie. King was unsure at first, not because he didn't believe in Frank, but because the story was very internal and quiet. He thought it would be hard to film. In the end, he sold the rights for $1. Yes, just $1. Stephen King called it his dollar baby deal. He would let young filmmakers adapt his shorter works for one symbolic dollar. Tim Robbins later shared that this generous deal gave the movie something rare in Hollywood. Freedom. We were not filming some huge studio blockbuster, Robbins said during the film's 25th anniversary. There were no studio bosses watching over every scene. Frank had creative control. That gave the whole project a very different feeling. Morgan Freeman agreed. It's strange. The film that would later be voted #1 on IMDb for years started off as something Hollywood did not take seriously. Columbia Pictures had no clue what to do with it. This odd beginning helped shape the movie's path. It became one of the most surprising success stories in movie history. Like Andy Dufresne himself, the film had to take the long, slow road to greatness. One of the most powerful choices made during filming was the decision to use a real prison. The movie was shot inside the Ohio State Reformatory in Mansfield, Ohio. This prison had been shut down in 1990, just 4 years before shooting began, because of its harsh conditions. The cast later shared how the location deeply affected them. Clancy Brown, who played the cruel Captain Hadley, said, "Something changed in all of us every time we walked through those gates. You could feel years of pain in the walls. We did not have to pretend. The prison felt alive. It became a character." Tim Robbins often sat alone inside the cells between scenes. Those cells were 6 feet by 8 feet, he said in a 2019 interview. When the door closed, something inside you changed. Panic hit you for real. Many fans do not know this, but some of the background actors were actual former inmates. They had lived inside those very walls. Their faces were not acting. They were remembering what it felt like. Director Frank Darabont wanted everything to feel real. He even brought in former prisoners to appear in scenes set in the prison yard and dining hall. Their expressions, their quiet stares, and the way they moved were all real. They were reliving their past. The crew paid close attention to small things too. For scenes that took place in different time periods, the walls of the prison were made to look older or newer, They looked cleaner in the early scenes and more worn down later. Most people watching never notice this, but it changes the way the story feels. Morgan Freeman said that this attention to detail changed how he played Red. "I was not just acting like a prisoner on a movie set," he said. "I was becoming a man who had spent most of his life locked up in this exact place." That made a big difference. What many fans don't know is that the actors created full histories for their characters. These stories were never told on screen, but they helped shape each performance. Morgan Freeman imagined Red's life long before prison. He pictured him as a man who used to run numbers in the black community during the 1930s or 1940s. He had power before he lost it all. That's why he knows how to get things. He's a fixer. He understands people. That's also why he sees something special in Andy. He sees another man who once had everything and lost it. Tim Robbins took a different approach. He created two versions of Andy Dufresne. One version is the man people see in prison: quiet, careful, distant. The other is the real Andy, the one we only see in private moments. This idea guided how he acted. In public, he kept his body stiff. His face stayed calm. But when he was alone, like during the opera scene, his body language changed. It became more natural, more free. Most viewers feel this difference without even noticing it. One of the most moving characters in the film is Brooks Hatlin, the elderly man who cannot cope with life after prison and ends his own life. James Whitmore, who played Brooks, based the character on his own father. His father had struggled with sadness in his final years. The scene where Brooks feeds the birds was not in the original script. Whitmore suggested it himself. "My father used to feed the birds in the park after my mother died," he said. "There was something deeply sad in that small act. I wanted to bring that into the film." This personal connection gave the role a real emotional weight. Brooks's short story arc leaves a lasting mark on the audience. It is one of many ways the actors brought their own lives into their characters, making Shawshank more than just a prison movie. They made it feel human. There are hidden messages throughout the film that most people never see. The cast has shared some of these details in interviews, and they completely change how you watch certain scenes. Tim Robbins pointed out that Andy is often shown behind some kind of barrier, even when he's not in his cell. He is framed behind bars, behind railings, or through fences. This visual trick reminds us that Andy is trapped not just by prison, but by his past and his secret plan. This visual theme appears many times, though most viewers do not catch it. But once you know it's there, you start to see how trapped Andy truly is. He is not like the other prisoners. They have accepted their fate. Andy has not. Morgan Freeman talked about the scene on the rooftop, where the men drink beer in the sun. He said that moment is not just about joy. It is when Andy starts helping the guards with their money. It is when he begins building the other life that will help him escape. From that rooftop, he begins crafting his way to freedom, one small piece at a time. That rooftop scene is more than just a break from prison life. It is the moment when Andy rises above it all, both literally and symbolically. He stands on the roof, looking down at the prison. It is a quiet sign of what is to come. His plan starts there, even if no one realizes it yet. Even the movie's most famous line carries deep meaning. When Red says, "Get busy living," or "Get busy dying," he is not just offering advice. He is expressing the heart of the entire story. It is the core idea behind every choice the characters make. Clancy Brown shared that director Frank Darabont had this line written on the wall in the production office. Frank told us that everything in the film had to reflect that idea, Brown said. Every choice, every moment was about choosing life or giving in to despair. Once you understand this, the small moments in the film become huge. When Andy plays opera music over the speakers, he is choosing life. When Brooks carves his name before taking his life, he is choosing death. These scenes gain new power when you know the message behind them. The famous posters on Andy's wall are not just for hiding the tunnel. They tell a story, too. First, Rita Hayworth, then Marilyn Monroe, then Raquel Welch. Each one reflects a new stage in Andy's journey. Rita is the past, a symbol of old Hollywood. Marilyn brings in a more complex time. Raquel, in her cavewoman outfit, represents something raw and wild. It is a journey back to the basics, a stripping away of Andy's old life as he prepares for his rebirth. Frank Darabont confirmed this meaning. Each poster shows Andy getting closer to freedom. Rita is fully dressed. Marilyn shows more. Raquel is nearly bare. When that final poster flaps in the wind, it is not just about escape. It is about transformation. That wall was the last thing between Andy and the life he was meant to live. Another powerful tool used in the film is the weather. It plays a quiet but important role in shaping the mood. Morgan Freeman pointed this out years later. He said to notice when it rains in the movie. Bad things always happen during storms. The night Andy is attacked by the sisters, it is raining. When the warden takes his own life, the rain pours. When Tommy is killed, it is raining again. Rain is used as a sign of danger, sadness, and fear. But there is something different during Andy's escape. That night, the weather turns into a wild thunderstorm. Nature itself becomes part of the story. The lightning, the thunder, the pouring rain all match the tension and danger of Andy's bold move. Then comes the most striking weather moment of all. When Red finds Andy on the beach in Mexico, for the first time in the entire film, the sun shines bright. There are no clouds, no shadows, just clear blue sky. Morgan Freeman said, "This was the only scene in the whole movie where the weather is truly beautiful. Every other outdoor scene has gray skies or gloom. This final scene is full of light. That is not by chance. It is the film's way of showing that real freedom has finally arrived." The power of that message works on a level most people never notice. It shapes how they feel without them even knowing why. Shawshank is full of these small choices that add up to something big. One of the most emotional scenes in the movie almost did not happen. The scene where Red rides the bus and decides to go to Mexico was not part of the original script. Morgan Freeman revealed this in a 2014 interview. That scene was added at the very end of production. The studio had wanted to remove the reunion at the beach. They thought the film was too long. Frank Darabont fought back by writing that bus scene. It gave Red's story a true ending. Without that scene, Red's journey would have ended with him just walking out of prison. That would have left his future uncertain. But the new scene made everything clear. Red was no longer just a man released from prison. He had made a choice. He chose to follow hope. Morgan Freeman explained it best. This movie is not only about Andy escaping, it is also about Red finding freedom. Not just physical freedom, but freedom from his fears and doubts. That one scene on the bus gave Red a complete story. It turned the film into something greater. Another part of the movie that changed everything was the story of Brooks. In the original version written by Stephen King, Brooks was a small character. But director Frank Darabont saw something more. He expanded Brooks's role in the movie. James Whitmore, who played Brooks, said that change was huge. Brooks became the face of what happens when someone lives in prison for too long. He could not live outside those walls. He had no one, no job, no purpose. Brooks became the warning sign for Red. He showed what could happen if a man gave up hope. That made Red's final decision even more powerful. Without Brooks, Red's journey would not carry the same weight. The studio tried to cut the Brooks scenes. They thought it slowed the story down. Frank Darabont refused. He said, "If we do not show what happens to Brooks, then Red's ending means nothing." Brooks chose fear. Red must choose hope. That famous carving, "Brooks was here," took on new meaning. When Red adds his own message, "So was Red," it becomes more than graffiti. It is a declaration. He is not repeating Brooks's fate. He is choosing a new ending. He is choosing to live. Brooks may have been a minor character at first, but his story gave the film one of its strongest emotional messages. The warden in the movie is one of the most chilling villains ever shown on screen. What many people do not know is that he was inspired by a real person. Bob Gunton, who played Warden Norton, shared this detail years after the film was released. Frank Darabont gave Gunton old newspaper articles about a real warden from the Midwest during the 1950s. This man was known for quoting the Bible while treating inmates like slaves. He even used them to do repairs on his own home, and was later caught stealing money. Gunton said, "The man acted holy on the outside, but inside, he was full of lies and cruelty. That's the person I used to shape the warden." Once you know this, the warden's actions in the film become even more haunting. His suicide near the end is not just about avoiding jail. It is about watching his entire false image fall apart. He cannot stand being seen as a criminal after acting so righteous for years. This small detail makes the character feel more real and more frightening. He is not a cartoon villain. He is based on true history. Many people believe that the word redemption in the title refers only to Andy's escape. But the actors say there is more to it than that. Tim Robbins explained that Andy's journey is just one part of the message. The real meaning of redemption is about how Andy brings light into a dark place. He gives the men in prison hope. He builds a library. He helps them learn. He changes Shawshank while he is still inside. Morgan Freeman shared his view too. Red finds redemption when he finally speaks honestly at his parole hearing. After years of saying what they wanted to hear, he tells the truth. That honesty sets him free. The film is not just about getting out of prison. It is about freeing the human spirit from fear, lies, and despair. One of the most surprising facts revealed by the cast is that the movie almost ended in a very different way. The famous beach reunion between Andy and Red was not always part of the plan. The studio wanted to cut that final scene completely. Frank Darabont shared that the original ending showed Red riding on the bus, heading to Mexico. The studio thought that was enough. They believed the story should stop with Red feeling hopeful but still uncertain. They said the beach scene was too long and not needed. But Frank disagreed. He felt that the film was not just about hope. It was about what happens when hope is rewarded. He wanted the audience to see the moment Andy and Red were finally together again. Without that, the story felt unfinished. Tim Robbins added an interesting detail. That final beach scene was actually the first scene they filmed. Frank wanted to shoot it before he and Morgan Freeman had time to build their connection on screen. He wanted their reunion to feel a little awkward and unsure, just like it would in real life. This decision worked perfectly. The scene has a quiet power. It feels natural, not overly emotional. The way they greet each other is soft, but full of meaning. It is exactly how two old friends would act after years apart. Looking back, it is hard to believe that scene was almost removed. It ties everything together. Morgan Freeman said it best. Without that beach moment, Shawshank would have been a film about hope as an idea. But by showing that reunion, it became a film about hope fulfilled. That moment on the beach gives the story its heart. It proves that all the pain, waiting, and courage led to something real. The ending became one of the most unforgettable in movie history. The music in Shawshank Redemption is one of the most moving parts of the film, yet many viewers do not realize how much it shapes the emotional journey. Composer Thomas Newman created a score that slowly changes as the story unfolds. At the start, the music is cold and distant. It reflects the feeling of being trapped. But as the movie goes on, the score grows warmer and more hopeful. Tim Robbins once said that the music changes just like Andy does. It begins in darkness and ends in light. This change happens so quietly that most people do not even notice it. But they feel it. The music helps the story sneak hope into the prison, one quiet note at a time. One of the most powerful scenes in the movie is when Brooks takes his own life. During this moment, the music does something special. It does not try to tell the viewer how to feel. It does not force sadness. Instead, it shows Brooks's deep loneliness and fear. James Whitmore, who played Brooks, said the music matched what his character felt inside. It captured his confusion and sorrow in a way that words could not. Newman's score was nominated for an Oscar, but it lost to the music from The Lion King. Many movie fans and critics still say this was one of the biggest mistakes the Academy ever made. Shawshank's music has stood the test of time. The way it supports each scene without overpowering it is part of what makes it great. It does not try to be the star. It lets the story lead and follows quietly behind. This balance helped the film grow in people's hearts. The music, just like the story, stays with you. It whispers instead of shouting. It comforts instead of demanding. It helps turn a prison story into something timeless. When Shawshank Redemption first hit theaters, it did not do well. It opened at the same time as movies like Pulp Fiction and Forrest Gump. In its first run, it only made about $16 million. That was far less than what it cost to make. By normal Hollywood standards, it was a flop. But then something unexpected happened. Morgan Freeman explained that the film found new life on television, and VHS channels like TNT began airing it often. And people did not just watch it once. They watched it over and over again. It became a film people felt close to, something they turned to again and again. It gave me comfort. It became part of their lives. This second life gave the movie something even box office success could not. It turned Shawshank into a cultural treasure. By the late 1990s, video rentals and home viewings made it a hit. It slowly became one of the most beloved movies of all time. Tim Robbins said the film's journey was fitting. This is a story about patience, about not giving up, about doing the work and waiting for results. The movie needed the same kind of patience from its audience. The story of Andy slowly breaking through a wall over many years matched the movie's own path. It broke through to viewers one showing at a time. By 2019, it had been near the top of IMDb's list of greatest films for over a decade. It ranked above classics like The Godfather. It became more than just a good film, it became part of American culture. The world slowly caught up to the movie's greatness. Just like Andy's quiet work in the prison, the film built something lasting, one person at a time. Shawshank Redemption did not start as a success, but it became something more powerful. It became a story that stayed in people's hearts. Today, the old prison where Shawshank was filmed has become something entirely different. The Ohio State Reformatory, once a dark and broken place, is now a major tourist attraction. Every year, over 100,000 people visit it. Tim Robbins said it was amazing to think that a prison once known for cruelty is now famous for a story about hope. People from all over the world come to see where Andy and Red's story was filmed. They walk the same hallways, they visit Andy's cell, they even look at the tunnel he used to escape. It was a movie set piece, but now it is a real part of the building. The town of Mansfield, Ohio, has welcomed this attention. They built a trail called the Shawshank Trail, which takes visitors to filming spots all around the area. The money from tourism has helped the local economy and brought new life to a place once known for struggle. The prison has become more than just a movie location. It is a symbol of change. A place once made to break people now celebrates a story about the strength of the human spirit. As the film nears its 30th anniversary, people still ask why it means so much to so many. Morgan Freeman offered one answer. He said the film speaks to a part of us that feels stuck in bad choices, regrets, or hard lives. Shawshank gives hope that it is never too late to be free. Tim Robbins said the film does not lecture. It shows what hope looks like through Andy's quiet strength. And it also shows how hard it is to hold on to hope. Director Frank Darabont said the movie is about what cannot be taken from us: our humanity, our friendships, our ability to find purpose, even in darkness. That is why Shawshank lasts. Like Andy said, hope is a good thing, maybe the best of things, and no good thing ever dies.